Kennel Club AGM was last week. What do you feel were the major outcomes of the meeting?
Obviously, the most sensational aspect of the meeting was the announcement by the chairman, Ronnie Irving, that he didn't want to seek re-election as chairman at the next General Committee meeting. I won't necessarily say that this came as an enormous surprise, because the last 2 or 3 years, as everybody knows, have been an extremely stressful time for everybody involved at the Kennel Club. And after 9 years in the job, one can understand that Ronnie must have felt that he'd done his bit. I'm sure we would all agree with that. Then, nevertheless, obviously, an announcement like that, it to a certain extent takes people by surprise, and of course, I think it gave people a lot to talk about over lunch. The other most interesting aspect of the meeting, of course, was the debate on the coat testing issue introduced by Mike Gadsby, and that caused a lengthy and at times spirited debate, and it was, I think everybody would agree, an extremely interesting outcome.
Were you particularly surprised by the outcome of the coat testing debate?
I think I might have been surprised if Mike's proposal had gone through as written, but I must admit the result was probably what I and I think quite a number of other people there were hoping for, a compromise in which everyone will hopefully have their chance to have their say, and that a more sensible set of rules can be drawn up in the near future. It was also a very sensible suggestion that coat testing for the time being be suspended, and so hopefully until everything's sorted out, then things will calm down, and a good, reasonable, sensible discussion will take place on this issue.
Wasn't there also some discussion about the 75-year rule for judges?
Yes, indeed there was, and in some ways perhaps I'm surprised that the meeting decided to go against the current policy of the Kennel Club and to vote to remove that rule altogether. This is something that I know a great many judges and indeed others feel very strongly about. That let's face it, I mean, to be a judge, a senior judge, you need many years of experience, and by the time you are building up a portfolio of breeds, the chances are that perhaps you're no longer as young as you were. I think this rule was introduced some years ago now, when there'd been a few examples of, sadly, judges who perhaps didn't know when the time had come for them to retire, and I think it was obvious to those who watched them that perhaps they should have stopped before that appointment. So the Kennel Club decided to do something about it. I think that most people agree that the way they went about it wasn't altogether logical, but they felt perhaps they had to do something. Now, to a lot of people's pleasure, the policy has been reversed, but I think it'll be down to judges and the societies who invite them to be honest with themselves and not to go on perhaps longer than they should do. Nevertheless, there's a lot of people with a great deal of experience out there, and hopefully now they will have the opportunity to judge, perhaps just a few times, breeds which they're more than capable of doing so.
I gather the meeting went on slightly longer than usual. Do you feel it was a productive meeting?
Yes, I thought so. I've been going for the last, I think, 4 years or so, and personally I felt that this one was much the most productive I've been to, because certainly the two subjects we've already mentioned were aired fully and in considerable detail, and people were not afraid to give their opinions, even if it didn't coincide with those of the Kennel Club itself. I think it also probably proved to the dog people in general that controversial issues can be brought up there, that they will be given chance for a discussion, and may even come up with an answer which wasn't perhaps what was expected. So I think in the very long, rather drawn out move towards democracy at the Kennel Club, I think this meeting was quite a landmark.